Welcome to the Open Dental webinar on the Procedures Overpaid Reports. Today, we will take a look at the Procedures Overpaid Report and the Insurance Overpaid Report. We'll look at how to run them, what the results mean, and how we can fix some common overpayment scenarios. First, it's worth noting that in order for these reports to pull data correctly, payments, write-offs, and adjustments must be allocated to procedures. We'll start with the Procedures Overpaid Report. To run this report, we can go up to the main menu and to Reports, Standard, and then down to Monthly. We'll scroll down and find the report called Procedures Overpaid. At the top, we can see our filters. The date filter defaults to 1 month prior, but we can use our drop-down menu to select any date range that we'd like. Further, we can filter for all providers or a particular provider. And if your office is using clinics, we can filter by a particular clinic, unassigned, or select all. Our patient will default to our currently selected patient. We can click Find to use our Select Patient list to pull up a particular patient, or we can click All to view the results for all patients. Once we've set our filters, we can click Refresh. And here we can see the results for this report. The results show the patient's name, the date the procedure was completed, the code, tooth number, and provider associated with that procedure, and the procedure's fee. It also shows how much insurance payment, write-offs, patient payments, and adjustments are attached to that procedure. Finally, our last column shows the total amount of the overpayment. Procedures will appear in this report if the sum of insurance payment, write-off, patient payments, and adjustments is greater than the procedure fee. From here, we can right-click on our patient and select Go to Account to quickly jump to their account in Open Dental. Do note that this window is not modal. That means that we can continue working in Open Dental while that window remains open in the background. Here we can see the periodic oral evaluation pulled into our Procedures Overpaid report because insurance payment is $95, but our fee was only $90. In this case, let's say that our fee is incorrect. Really, we should have charged $95 for this, and our insurance payment was correct. Once we've made any fixes that we need to, in this case, I'm going to be increasing my procedure fee by $5. I'll add a note to indicate what's happening. We can then pull back our report window and hit refresh. As we can see, our first procedure has been removed from the list because that procedure is no longer overpaid. From this window, we can also print. If we click the print button, it pulls up an Open Dental report with our overpaid procedures, and we can print that or export it as we do with standard Open Dental reports. Next, we'll take a look at the Insurance Overpaid Report. To run that report, we'll go up to Reports, Standard, and again down to Monthly. Here we'll find our report called Insurance Overpaid. Again, we have our option to set a date range, which defaults to 1 month prior to today. If your office is using clinics, we can also select which clinic we would like to show or leave all checked to include all clinics. And then last, we have 2 radio buttons to allow us to decide how our results will be filtered. The first option is to filter results by procedure. If we choose to filter our results by procedure, then Open Dental will look individually at each procedure, and an individual procedure will appear on our list if the insurance payment plus the write-off amount exceeds the procedure fee. A patient will appear once in the list for each individual procedure that has been overpaid. Our other option is to filter results by patient and date. If we choose to filter by patient and date, then patients will appear in our list if the total insurance payment for that date of service plus the write-offs is greater than the total procedure fees for that date of service. A patient will appear on this list once for each date of service that is overpaid. Do keep in mind that this selection of filtering results by procedure or filtering by patient and date will show drastically different results in our report. If we filter our report by procedure, we can see that it shows our patient name, the date of the overpayment, the fee, and the sum of our insurance payment plus our write-off. If we filter our results by patient and date, similarly, it shows us our patient name, the date of service that has been overpaid, our sum of fees for that date, and the sum of insurance payment plus write-off for that date. From this window, we can print and export the way that we would with standard Open Dental reports. Now we'll take a look at some common overpayment scenarios and how we can fix them. To start, we'll go back into our Procedures Overpaid Report. I'll set my filters and refresh my report. For our first example, we'll take a look at a patient overpayment. I'll select my patient and click Go to Account. We can see this patient was included on our list because our patient payment on the top procedure is $175, whereas our fee for that procedure is only $90. In the case of a patient overpayment, we can use the Income Transfer Manager to transfer the overpayment to outstanding family charges. To do that, we'll go to our Payment button, use our drop-down, and select the Income Transfer. Then we'll select the Transfer button and click Close. We can see a transfer line appear in our account module. And we can also see that my top procedure now only has $90 of patient income allocated to it. $75 has been transferred to the other procedure on this account, and the remaining $10 is showing as unearned. That's because after allocating our income to the procedures on the account, there was still $10 left over. This remaining $10 of overpayment can be refunded or left as unearned to be allocated to future work. If we bring back our Procedures Overpaid report and refresh, we'll see that this patient has been removed because we have corrected their overpayment. Next, we'll look at some insurance overpayment scenarios. First, let's look at what happens when insurance actually overpays and we need to send a refund. Again, to start, we'll go to Reports, Standard, Insurance Overpaid, and I'm going to let it filter the results by procedure. Taking a look at our results here, we're going to take a look at our first patient. Since this is a standard report, this window is modal, and we will need to close it in order to work elsewhere in Open Dental. So I'll close this window and then pull up our first patient, and we're going to take a look at our date of service for the 23rd of August. Our Insurance Overpaid Report indicated that our procedures were overpaid from the date of service 8/23. So I can find those procedures and then take a look at what's going on. We can see here that my insurance payment amount is $300. My write-off amount is $250, resulting in a total insurance payment of $550. That's $50 greater than my procedure fee. These procedures have been overpaid. The first step in correcting any type of insurance overpayment is to find the original EOB and verify its accuracy. After we've located our original EOB, we'll click into our claim and verify its accuracy. In this case, let's say that our payment amounts match exactly what was on the EOB. However, we notice that our insurance payment amount is higher than my estimate. It turns out that insurance overpaid. To correct this, we'll need to notify insurance of the overpayment and arrange a refund. The insurance carrier will give you instructions on how they would like that refund to be processed. Once we're prepared to process our refund, we'll come to our overpaid procedures, highlight them, and enter a supplemental insurance payment. In this case, we are going to be returning $50 from each procedure to our insurance carrier. So I'll enter negative insurance payment amounts, totaling a refund of $150 for insurance. We'll then finalize this refund payment by clicking this claim only. If you're entering the refund on a batch check, because you were instructed to do so by insurance, then we can follow the same steps and we can attach this refund check to the batch check, the same that we would attach received payments. In this case, we'll assume that we're going to be sending a single refund check to insurance. I can enter my check number once I know what that is, and then click OK. We'll click OK once more. And now my refund has been finalized. If we were paying close attention to our patient's balance, we'll see that correcting this insurance overpayment made a change. By removing our insurance overpayment, we have increased our patient's balance. This patient previously had a $150 credit, but now it shows a balance of $0 because we've refunded that $150 to the insurance company. Generally, the patient will be responsible for any balance resulting from that corrected overpayment. If that's the case, then no further steps are needed. If the insurance overpayment is discovered after an unreasonably long period of time, a negative adjustment can be entered on the patient's account to correct their balance. In this case, let's assume that we wanted our patient to keep that $150 credit. So after correcting our insurance overpayment, we'll enter a negative adjustment and return their balance to show that $150 credit. To do that, I'll make sure nothing is selected in my account module. Then I'll click Adjustment. In this case, we're going to be adding a $150 adjustment. This will be a negative adjustment, and I'll add a note explaining why. In this case, we're adding our adjustment to correct our patient balance after an insurance refund. I click OK, and now we can see that our patient balance is back to showing that $150 credit if that's what we wanted. Next, let's take a look at how we can fix overpayments that result from write-off amounts being entered too high. So we'll go back to our Insurance Overpaid Report. First, we can see that our previous patient is no longer on our report because we have corrected our overpayments. And now let's take a look at the account of our patient Jorge. Again, we close that window and select our patient. In this case, our overpayment occurred on the date of 8/27. Once I've located the original EOB, I'll verify that information with our claim. In this case, let's say that our insurance payment amount was correct, but our write-off amount was entered too high. In this case, insurance paid the full amount of our procedure fee, so we should have written off 0. To correct this, we'll select the procedures that we need to fix the write-off for and enter a supplemental payment. In our write-off column, I'll enter a negative amount to reduce our write-off to the desired value. In this case, I will remove the entire $20 write-off. And we can add a remark if we'd like. In this case, we are correcting our write-off amount. When the only adjustment is made to the write-off, we do not need to click a button to finalize the payment. Our write-off will automatically be included. We click OK, and now we can see that my procedure has an insurance payment of $90. Our write-off is no longer indicated because it is 0, and that matches my procedure fee. However, again, this did change my patient's balance, because reducing the write-off effectively reduces the amount that this procedure was discounted. If the patient is responsible for payment, then no further steps are needed. However, again, if this overpayment was discovered after an unreasonably long period of time, then we could enter a negative adjustment as before to correct our patient's account balance. In this case, let's say we caught our error pretty quickly, so we're going to go ahead and leave our account as it is. The last insurance overpayment scenario we'll take a look at is fixing old payment amounts in the event that the insurance payment was entered incorrectly. This is a rare sort of error because it would have caused the day's deposit slip not to balance and likely would have been caught on the day of the entry error. It also tends to be complex to fix, and it will cause historic reports to change. So if you need to correct old payment amounts, be sure to rerun historic accounting reports for the months affected. To start, we'll again run our Insurance Overpaid Report. And in this case, let's take a look at our first patient, Stephanie. After locating our original EOB, we'll double-click into our claim to verify the amounts. In this case, let's assume that our insurance payment amounts were entered incorrectly. They do not match what is on the EOB. In order to correct this, we are going to need to adjust our payment amounts. The first step will be to delete the deposit slip that our insurance payment is attached to. To do that, we'll go to our Manage module, Deposits, and we'll pull in the deposit slip, including that insurance payment. We'll want to record all relevant information from our deposit slip so that we can recreate it in its entirety in the future. We can do that by printing it or screenshotting it. In this case, I'll use the built-in snipping tool to take a screenshot of our deposit slip. Now that I have all the information and I'm confident that I can recreate my deposit slip in full, I will go ahead and delete it. With that deposit slip deleted, I can now delete my original insurance payment. To do that, I'll double-click into my claim and then double-click into my insurance payment. I want to only delete the insurance payment by clicking Delete. I do not want to remove any procedures, and I do not want to delete my original claim. Now I can fix my original insurance payment amounts. To do this, I'll double-click into my procedure within the claim, and in the bottom right corner, I'll adjust my insurance payment amount to match the EOB. I'll do so on any procedures that were entered incorrectly. If needed, I could backdate my payment to match the date of the original check. In this case, I'm going to leave it alone. And finally, after finalizing my insurance payment, I can recreate my deposit slip. I'll check the information on my deposit slip against the screenshot that I took. In this case, I can see that my recreated deposit slip has pulled in one check that was not on my original deposit slip. In this case, I'll hold down Control and select that line to unhighlight it and remove it from our deposit slip. I can see now that it has the correct item count. My amount has been reduced, but that's expected because I have changed the payment amounts. I'll click OK and close. And now my deposit slip has been recreated. And now this insurance overpayment that resulted from incorrectly entered payment amounts has been corrected. However, insurance income has changed for this date, so I would need to rerun any reports that may be affected.
Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. If you have additional questions, please call our support line at 503-363-5432 or access our complete online manual at opendental.com. And to make sure you're staying up to date on our latest training videos, make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications.